is a well-known fact that between 10 to 12 people, between 10 to 12% of people are left-handed. And all 100% of those 10 to 12% of people never owned a Game Boy, I think. They couldn't play it. It's actually impossible for a left-handed person to play this Game Boy. But luckily, I fixed that by doing this. Meet the left-handed Hang on. Ah, that really hurt. That was so hard. Meet the left-handed Game Boy. That's right. Now, left-handed people, like never before, can play the Nintendo Game Boy. So the first thing I needed to do was measure equal squares around the D-pad and action buttons. Once I had two equally sized squares, I cut them out with my glue gun. I didn't really think about the thickness of the cutting wheel, so I actually had to use another beat up shell to get the button wells. To glue them into place, I used regular super glue and toilet roll to bond the pieces together, like we should all be doing as humans. Next up, I took some body filler and mixed it and applied it to the cracks and sanded it all smooth. I coated the shell with primer and then went on to paint it white. To get the buttons to work, I used copper tape and soldered it to the traces of each button. So here it is. This is the left-handed Game Boy. Now, I was a little bit lazy with the back and I ran out of paint, so I just used a white shell piece. So apologies about the two-tone, but I'll get some more paint and I'll do an actual back for this eventually, just for completion's sake. Besides that though, this thing is looking fairly good. It's not perfect, but it does definitely do the job and it looks fairly good. I will eventually be actually getting the Nintendo logo and the A and B and the Start and Select written on these things. The guys over at Retro Modding have a UV printer. That's how they do all of their prints on the back, and they're going to print that on for me. So eventually these things are going to look pretty goddamn cool, and I want to get like acrylic boxes for them because yeah, they're very nice. But anyway, yeah, as you can see, I've swapped the location of the A and B button and the D-pad button around. I thought this was going to be fairly simple, and it turns out it was fairly simple. It was just a little bit of a nightmare soldering all of those little wires and traces, and it is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass because though you're not meant to solder to traces, but I managed to get it done, and it works beautifully. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Now I had to repair the screen because that had a bunch of vertical lines, but that's now all fixed. And as you can see, when we press start, eventually it will work. Now I did have to put a smaller speaker in this. I think it came from a DS Lite. That's just because the support for the D-pad is too big and it hits the support for the speaker. But it still sounds absolutely fine, so I'm really happy with that. So yeah, let's go ahead and have a play. Now I have reserved my initial proper play for video because I sort of want to capture this moment. But I obviously have had to test it. So here we go. This one is the A button. No. Oh wait, it's start at the moment anyway. Okay. Right. It does feel kind of weird, although I'm scared that I'm already used to it. I'm not even paying attention to the actual game, but yeah, I'm scared that I'm actually already getting used to it, which means when I go back to an original Game Boy, it's gonna be like driving on the wrong side of the road. But yeah, I mean this is alright. Everything works unbelievably well and doesn't feel like it's not meant to be like this. Yeah, I mean, everything seems to work absolutely fine, and it feels really good, but I don't think Tetris is the best game to test fully the weirdness of having the controls on the wrong side. So I'm going to turn Tetris off and grab a different game. So let me quickly prove to you with my Nintendo test cartridge that I actually used to help me make sure that all the buttons were working, that everything does work. So if I press the, basically there's a little arrow next to each button that it wants you to press. So as I press all of those buttons, you can see everything works. And it does look quite freaky that everything's on the wrong side. It's not going to be completely flawless, but it does work very nicely. I don't know for how long, but at the moment, it's working beautifully. Let's try out some Super Mario Land. Here we go. Very excited for this. Oh, start button. Okay. Right, now, one thing that I have already realised is that I've sort of not got this completely mirrored. Like, if I was to have it mirrored, what I should have done is had the buttons be like that. Wait, no, that hasn't worked. Wait, like that, sort of going like that. Yeah, but I haven't done that, so it's sort of not completely mirrored. But I don't know. It still feels pretty weird. But it's scarily normal. Like, it's so weird how normal it becomes. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, it doesn't, I'm not in any way struggling to play this game. I have a feeling that if I was to swap in between two, it might feel a little bit weird, but, and then going back to this, everything feels normal as well. So I don't quite, maybe I haven't made this weird enough. Maybe in the next video we should put the buttons on the back or something like that. If this video gets 3,000 likes, I'll put the buttons on the back of a Game Boy. Let's see how that does. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. A little bit of a weird one. It's surprisingly normal, okay? That is the conclusion that we will come to. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Goodbye.